All righty. Hey guys, this is Linda Kelly, Haight Street Voice, part 2 of my chat with Peggy Caserta. And last we left off, I had done an audio goof and some big noise came on. But anyway, I was speaking to this mural, telling Peggy about this mural that's on the cover on the corner of Love on Haight, Sunshine Powers store on Haight and Masonic, and that's Jerry with a mask on, and there's another one of Janis with a mask on. So anyway, here we are talking about that and other things. So I hope you enjoyed part 2, and remember, support local journalism and take care of your community. All right, here we go. Here comes the rest of the recording.
Out in the news, I think it was the 24th, the day before yesterday, but the corner, Love on Haight, that our friend Sunshine Powers runs, God bless her, they just painted a mural on the cover of her building there, right on the corner of Masonic and Haight and the Love on Haight, and it's Janis and Jerry, and they're both wearing masks for the COVID. Yeah,
really?
It was in the news yesterday. Yeah.
How cute.
They'll have to get you a photo of that, Peggy. But I have a question for you. As you look back on all that long ago time, is there anything that you would have done differently as you look at it now?
Not really. I probably would have held back on using so much heroin. Yeah. But no, not really. It was a great time. I did as much good as I could do. I made a lot of money and I gave a lot away, and I wouldn't change anything. I really wouldn't. I loved everything.
It afforded you to be able to hang out and go and meet Janis everywhere, some places.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah.
And you know what's scary? For all of the drugs
That's
that
not
you
working.
use, you
What's
are
that?
incredibly sharp, and your memory is clear as a bell. It's almost scary. Like, what would you have been like if you didn't use those drugs? My goodness.
I would probably be putting little numbers and little squares for somebody because it seems as though I was math inclined. I don't know how that happened. Maybe my dad was sort of that way. Maybe I got his genes. But no, I wouldn't change anything. I loved who we were and what we did. And talking to Bobby now, because I'm trying to get him to help the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic. All he has to do is appear. He appears and there's $1 million,
Yeah.
So they're going to do that virtual reality thing June 6th to the anniversary of the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic. Outside of our neighborhood. So it was sort of bordered by the Panhandle, and then they're building here. You probably can hear that. Let me close the door. The Panhandle, Masonic, Stanyan, and then that block up from Walla. I can't remember what the block up from Walla is.
That Carl?
No, that runs perpendicular.
Frederick.
Yeah, Frederick to the Panhandle and Masonic to Stanyan. And when Jerry Sealand's Far-Fetched Foods came in, and Brian Rohan and Michael Stepanian and class formed.
About the Haight-Ashbury Legal Organization.
That's right.
We love them.
So when we had Far-Fetched Foods, Halo, what was the other? Oh, the clinic. And me. we had food, health, defense, and clothes. And we were encapsulated. We didn't have to leave the neighborhood. And a lot of us didn't, because back then, unlike today, we weren't revered and cherished and toasted accepted, and things
How
have
were
changed.
the police? What was the police? What were they like?
Well, it was touch and go. We did turn on Sergeant Sunshine, and he was on our beat, he and another guy, and he would hang out in front of the Civic. That was his beat, Haight Street, and there was so much activity around my store, in and out, and a lot of harmless stuff, magic everywhere, and he started to see it our way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he got the nickname Sergeant Sunshine, because hold on, I have an incorrigible rescue dog. I'm on the phone. God, this dog wants every moment of my attention.
That's Rohan and Stepanian there, y'all. That's
Uh-huh.
Rohan on the left and Michael Stepanian on the right of HALO, Haight-Ashbury Legal
I can't
Organization.
hear somebody.
So the audio Peggy had a hard time hearing on the phone there. So in the meantime, I thought you could take a look at these two
There you
guys
are.
because they're
Okay,
really cool.
because I couldn't hear you guys.
That's Rohan. That's
We turned him
Stepanian.
on the pot,
All right.
and then
Here she is talking about
we could see
Sunshine
him
Cop,
getting liberal,
Sergeant Sunshine.
And then he went and smoked a joint on the courthouse steps, and it made the news. He then became dubbed Sergeant Sunshine. And so, I never had any trouble with the police, and I didn't find them to be overly aggressive or mean. In fact, if anything, I found them leaning toward us. And of course, that was in our neighborhood. Now, out of our neighborhood, it's a different story. We were the scrungy, dirty hippies, anti-establishment and all that stuff. But it subsided, after a while. After it blew up, and it did blow up, things got different and changed, and we all kind of scattered. Some people stayed. There's somebody there that's never left. In fact, when I was on Haight Street, before I met you guys, I'd been there about 10 years before Nancy brought me out. I was standing on the corner of Haight-Ashbury, and somebody behind me said, "Oh my God, Peggy Caserta." And I turned around, and I kind of want to remember his name. I'll remember it after we hang up. But he was an Indian guy that had been there the whole time. And Jermaine, his name was Jermaine. I said, "Jermaine." I said, "Dude, what are you doing here?" He said, "Peggy, I never left." I said, "Oh my God, what you've seen?" He said, "Yes." He said, "It's gone around and around. Almost came back one time." And he said, "Never again like it was when it was what it was."
What was his store? What did he have? A liquor store?
He didn't have a store. He's just a part American Indian. Yeah. He was just a guy that lived in the Haight. No store. Jermaine, that was his name. Yeah. And I about fainted at seeing him, because it was literally like a time capsule had been opened. Because, let's see, that was the 60s. It was in the 90s when I saw him.
Wow.
Yeah. Tripping.
Well, it's funny because I alluded to the fact that I was going to be speaking to you at some point via Zoom or somehow, technologically, somehow I was going to speak to you. And a lot of people came out of the woodwork and emailed me or pinged me or messaged me. And one of them was a woman named Nancy Kent. And
Oh my God.
Yeah, I got her email. She wanted to reach out to her and say hi. She says hello, Peggy. When you were down, I guess you owned a coffee shop down in San Diego. Is that correct?
In Long Beach, California.
Long Beach, yeah. So
yeah, well, she wrote my publisher, and she threw a really nice review of my book, but there was no way. See, all she has to do, anybody has to do, because I do get some mail, is write the publisher. Then the publisher lets me know. And then if it's, I try to be nice to people who are being nice to me, and respond to them. And yeah, Nancy was a friend in 93 when I opened that coffee house, and I'd like to. So you have her address?
Yes, I do. I will turn you on to whoever is reaching out to me to get to you, and I'll let you know.
Okay, you can email me her email, and I'll say hi.
All right, and I got another quote here from John Poppy, who was working on a Jim Marshall book back in the day, and the quote goes like this: "When we stand back and take the perspective offered by Jim Marshall's pictures, we can see how far we have come and how fast and how difficult it would be to turn back to the way we were before the Haight-Ashbury burst upon us in 1967. Jim Marshall, it's so true. I've been looking at his photographs. It's amazing how many, it makes me want to ask you, did people like Jimi Hendrix come into your store? You must have had so many amazing rock legends come in and donate.
Jimmy came in with his manager, and he was unknown. So was the manager. They were here from London. And I remember that guy's name is Chas. I think it was Chas Chandler. And he walked over to me. Jimmy was looking at jeans with this headband on. And I didn't know him, never heard of him. And this Chas guy said, "Are you Peggy?" I said, "I am." He said, "You know Bill Graham?" I said, "I do." He said, "Ma'am, I have the best guitar player in the world. Could you please get him a job with Bill Graham?" And I looked at this guy and I thought, I'm a gene pusher. to say to me that you have the best guitar player in the world, that's a big statement. And I'm awash in guitar players. There's Marty Ballin's, the Dead, Big Brother, The Final Solution, Crosby, Stills, and guitar players are all around me. Santana, Santana and this band hung out in my store. He hung out front, but the boys were always in there. And I looked at him and I thought, why would you be asking a gene pusher if you have the best guitar player in the world? So I looked at him and I looked over at that guy, Jimmy. He was just that guy to me then. And he looked at me with a look like, I'll never forget it. It was like pleading. It was like, "Please, lady, please."
Wow.
And I looked at this Chas guy and I said, "No, I can't get him a job." And they walked out, and by God, turns out the best guitar player in the world. But who knew? Why would I believe that? So yeah,
you were selling tickets out of your shop, right? I think
that's how I knew Bill, because Bill, we were the epitome of symbiosis here, because we put together that if I sold his tickets, people would come in the store to buy a ticket and maybe buy a pair of jeans, and vice versa. People could come in the store, buy a pair of jeans, and maybe buy his ticket. So we had it going on. If you look at the Bill Graham Presents posters, all of the original posters, the first ticket outlet on the bottom is Nasitica.
That's great.
Yeah, and it worked beautifully.
Now, what about
followed? Let me.
Yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, Nancy, go.
I just wanted to interject, because you started out talking about Lawrence Ferlinghetti, and of course Nasitica was the first place listed on those posters, but it was in fact followed by City Lights Bookstore. So
wow,
there's a beautiful connection there.
Yeah.
That's right. It was Nasitica and City Lights Bookstore. You're right.
And he, God rest his soul, 101 years old, Lawrence. We love you.
Yeah, I just heard about that.
Yeah.
I just heard that he just died, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this has been a wonderful threesome, but I need to make it a quickie. Will you please continue? Thank you so much, Peggy and Linda, for allowing me to sit in with you.
Well, I'm sorry, I picked the conversation. You should have been more of a contributor, because you certainly have a lot.
Oh,
to
No,
control.
Well, like you
Katie,
said,
this
in
is-
3 ways, there's always somebody that's disappointed, right?
There always is.
But let me assure you, I am not disappointed in the slightest, and you two carry on. I will speak with you both soon.
I have
Love
to
you,
go
man.
pretty soon too, but
Okay,
But-
we can go. We can wrap it up. We just
there's always somebody that feels left out.
Well, I'll just say peace and love from the corner of Haight-Ashbury, and I'll talk with you soon.
Okay,
much love.
Nancy.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
bye there.
All right, Peggy, hang on with me here.
Okay.
So,
I
we
picked
can
up
wrap it up too. We can wrap it up. What
I
would you like
picked
to
up-
say that? Go ahead.
I picked up the conversation, didn't
No, you did. We're having, you're all good. You're all good.
I?
In closing, would you, if there's a 25-year-old girl out there that's like, oh my gosh, I was thinking about opening a shop. I mean, I know that it's different times, but I think that anybody can, if they put their mind to it, like you Gaddy said, you're never going to get anywhere working for somebody else. I think that young people should still hold that hope, right? I mean,
Well, here's what I write in my books, and I say, if you don't have a dream, get one. Or if you have a dream, follow it. And, there was no indication that I would succeed the way I did. I really consider it a lot of luck. Who knew? No one knew the psychedelic revolution was coming.
timing is big.
Yeah, it was the right time in the right place, and somehow, some way, it was me that landed there. It could have been anybody. I knew so little about what I was doing. I just followed my heart and threw everything into it, did the best I could. When I talked Levi into making bell bottoms, it changed my life because, my story exploded then. And it was just, I've tried to repeat that success a few times. The place Nancy Kent is talking about, I put an espresso cappuccino coffee house right in the epitimes of, that's my word, of when the coffee houses were exploding everywhere, thinking that it would do what Nusitica did, but it didn't. I mean, it was okay, but nothing. Not even the one I put in downtown San Francisco on Polk Street. It was like, I always called it a life raft, watching the Titanic sink on Haight Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's an oversaturation. I mean, there's just so many people that are trying to open a coffee shop or a store or whatever. I mean, there's just so many more people, and so the whole world is a totally different place. But I do believe that people should, like you said, follow that dream. I'm
Whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't even know what this magazine is, but I did it out of my heart. Like, I love talking to people and listening to people, because I always said when I was starting out, and Ben Fong Torres and Joel Sullivan were my teachers at SF State, and journalism is, I said, I love to listen to what other people are doing, because I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing.
Well, I think Haight Street Voice is brilliant. And I still have your little glossy thing that you gave me when I was there. I think it's a brilliant idea. Village Voice started I think it was Joe Johnson that started the Village Voice. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
about
and the
that.
Oracle. I've been compared to the Oracle. I'm honored by that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I don't. No matter who's doing what, I don't care if you're a butcher or a clothes store person or whatever you are. I mean, everybody's got an interesting story, and I figure why not start my own community and check in on people and see what's up and give a voice to the people. That's kind of the whole idea of this thing.
It's great.
Thank you, babe.
I think
And
it is.
lastly, thank you. It means the world to me, coming from you. And we do need to get Bobby down here. He's a friend of mine too. I'll put a fire under his ass too. Bobby Ware, if you're listening, get your ass down here. Now, tell me a little bit, and then I'll let you go. But for this film, you keep sort of referencing the film. So there's some sort of film.
Well, there's been this talk for years, and it gets tight, and it looks like it's going to come to fruition, and then something happens. I don't know exactly what, but there is a Janis Joplin biopic in the mix, and David Dalton, who did Festival Express with her.
Love it.
Yeah, and I have been hired on as consultants.
Nice.
And
Okay.
every now and then, it looks like it's going to kick in, and then it hangs back for a while. I don't know what causes all this. They didn't like the script, and then they wrote it again. I have the hiccups. They wrote it again and didn't like that one, and then they wrote it again, and it almost came down, but now they're revising that one for the fourth time, and I'm told that when the script gets done, then we're going to start talking again. But in the meantime, I've not had much communication with them. But they did.
Well, you don't need to wait for the movie because you already lived it, right?
Well, that's what I say. And I'm the last comic standing. Everybody's died. You know, Linda's dead, Cook is dead, Sam is dead. I mean, Seth is dead, Albert's dead, Paul is dead. They're all dead. So, I mean, I'm really all that's got. I keep thinking that they're going to come around here one of these days and say, okay, you're on. But, yeah, I did know a lot about her. We were friends before she was, that's the thing. We were friends before she was famous. And so I watched that whole thing take hold. It was great to watch this poor girl who really never dreamed that she kept trying, but she really never dreamed that she'd get as popular as she did. And
Well, I love the story. I love the story in the book about the Great Jelly, the Welches versus the Springfield, and she didn't even realize until that moment that, oh shit, I can spend a little bit more on jelly.
I told her, I said, you don't have to buy the Springfield anymore. And see, today they call it Schmuckers, but back when we were there, it was Welch's. And they changed it in the script to Schmuckers. And I said, no, you need to leave it Welch's, because that's like showing a big lighter in Downton Abbey. There's not going to be a big lighter in Downton Abbey. There's not going to be a bottle of Schmuckers in 1969. It's going to be Welch's. And so they changed it back to Welch's, but little things. That's what they hired me to do, is to make it authentic. And my favorite is when she comes running down from Fredericks of Hollywood, because they wouldn't take her check because they didn't know who she was. I can't imagine, because she was famous by then. She runs down to it later became the Gay and Lesbian Community Center, but it was then the Federal Building. And I was so stoned on heroin, I couldn't get out of the car. And she came running down, give me some money, give me some money. I said, no. She said, give me a check, write me a check. I said, for what? She said, they won't take my check for my lingerie at Fredericks. And when I said, why? She said, because I don't have any ID. I said, you're driving me around LA stoned with no ID. I could kill you for that. Don't you know what the LA cops are like? That's all they need, is to pull me and you over. They're not going to be impressed with who you are. They're not. We're stoned. You're driving with no drive. I was furious. And then it dawned on me, she was on the cover of Newsweek that week. And I could see up on Fredericks, up on Hollywood Boulevard, a newsstand. And I said, why don't you just run yourself back up to that newsstand? Buy Newsweek. You're on the cover. And go ask them if that will serve for ID. And don't you know she did it? And they flipped the check over and put cover of Newsweek, blah, 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 Janis Joplin. And gave it. I thought that, she thought it was brilliant, and actually so did I. I thought that was a stroke of, hey, if she's on the cover of Newsweek, that ought to be enough ID, don't you think? I mean, seriously, that's picture ID.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Newsweek. Oh my Lord. Wow.
Well, listen, I call you Lindy because I know you told me a long time ago that you like that? Your dad called you Lindy. And so I said Lindy, and somebody said Linda. And I said, well, she's Linda to the world, but to me, she's Lindy. So, Lindy, we can pick this up again anytime you want. So
Thank you so much, Peggy. Much love to you. And man, I look forward to hanging out in real time once this COVID bullshit, now that you got your things taken care of. And we'll see you down the road a ways, and I look forward to it. And thank you so much. And
Okay.
what do you want to say to everybody out there in Haight Street Boys land right now? What's your parting words here?
Hang in there and look for the magic.
Okay, perfect. Love you, Peggy.
All right.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and share away. And, God bless you, Peggy Caserta. We love you. All right, people. Take care. And there we go. Peace.